Hey guys, what's up? Sando here, and today I'll be testing an all-in-one combo made by Topping in collaboration with the biggest distributor, ShenzenAudio, that made this little combo that is called EX5. So it is a DAC, a preamplifier, headphone amplifier, and Bluetooth receiver that is slightly bigger than my palm, and it costs as little as $350. So is this another flavor of the month, or maybe the holy grail of entry-level combos? Let's find out together. The little EX5 follows the same design cues of their D30 Pro and A30 Pro, using absolutely the same case size, weight and build quality, which is a great thing in my book. Its footprint is naturally very small and exactly the size of my palm, so you can easily integrate it into very tight spaces, and you can carry it to your office and back home since it weighs as little as 750 grams. EX5 has one of the simplest front panels that I've encountered, with all-in-one units. You can spot two headphone jacks, out of which one is balanced. A tiny LED will be showing the MQA status, there's a screen in the middle, and a volume wheel to its right. On its back, the usual suspects as USB, optical and coaxial are present, plus a pair of RCA and XLR outputs that can be fixed or not. As for the tech inside it, blame chip shortage or AKM factory fire, but EX5 is equipped with the highest spec ES9038 Q2M mobile chipset of ESS Technologies, 2 units in a dual mono configuration for a true balanced signal and of course for a higher dynamic range. The highest spec XMOS receiver is also present that fully unlocked its MQA capabilities. I'm spotting 4 crystal clocks, the best Bluetooth receiver that supports all the nicest codecs, and of course NFC amplifier modules of Topping. Speaking about those, EX5 squeezed 1.3 watts of power in 32 ohms from those modules, and it should be capable of driving even plenty of planar magnetic headphones, but more on that later on. Topping moved to a switching mode power supply, bypassing the need of big electrolytic caps. Alright folks, I think I'm ready to hit some eardrums. So how does the little EX5 is sounding more exactly? It sounds exactly as its bigger sibling DAC7 Pro that had the same dead neutral tonality, that is focusing mostly on technicalities and less so on the act of music listening itself. So in my opinion, EX5 is a very detail-oriented unit, so it's a very transparent unit. It will be showing all those smallest nuances that are hiding in my tracks without any kind of intervention from my part. In my opinion, its dead neutral tonality works just outstanding with some warm sounding headphones like Kennerton headphones, Odyssey headphones, Sandy headphones, Meze, Sennheiser headphones, with the exception of HD 800 of course. So that was, all those worked just outstanding with it. I just enjoyed my time. On the other hand, I believe that bright tilted headphones, like for example several hi-fi mans, didn't work that well. Starting with HE400 SE and finishing with HE1000 and Sosvara. I didn't enjoy my time with those headphones. I believe it was a little bit too much in my opinion. Especially the treble picks were a little bit bothersome in the long run. When it comes to detail retrieval, I believe that the little EX5, of course, as I was saying, so it's a detail-oriented unit, and it's pretty much on par with some of the priciest converters that I've tried. So I find it more or less similar to a SMSL SU9, Gustard A18 and X16, and of course pretty similar to Sonko's LA QX D1. So there is definitely a lot of value from a small and affordable device like this one. In my opinion, its headphone amplifier section is the biggest plus, but also the biggest drawback of this particular amplifier and combo. For the record, I really enjoy all those topping NFC amplifiers, so I really don't have a problem with linear, with honest sounding, with transparent, with dead neutral, with detail-oriented headphone amplifiers. I mean, I'm still using on a daily basis that benchmark HPA4 and all those topping NFC amplifiers. And I believe that in this regard, EX5 behaves pretty much the same. I find its headphone amplifier section dead neutral, so it's a noiseless type of amplifier, so it carries the same tonality, or should I say the lack of a tonality, because this is really an achromatic type of amplifier, so it doesn't add anything into the mix, doesn't take away anything from your music. It's a really colorless type of amplifier. There are many other good things to say about it. So it's a very fast sounding amplifier, it has very fast decays, and if you are listening to some modern music like pop, hip-hop, electronica, I believe that it sounds very impressive and will be moving, pushing and pulling that membrane really fast, just delivering nicer dynamics. So there are many good things to say about its headphone amplifier. However, when it comes to scale, when it comes to bass punch, when it comes to sheer power, EX5 isn't that impressive. So from all those headphones that you see around me, it was able to drive them all, with the exception of Odyssey LCD4 and of course with that Hi-Fi Vara. It didn't work with them that well, it didn't push those membranes, dynamics weren't that impressive actually. So this shouldn't be really a surprise considering its size, its cost, and I believe it's okay as it is. However, with everything else, it worked good to almost great, so I never went past 85 on its volume wheel out of 100. By default it comes with low gain enabled, but considering that it's a noiseless amplifier, so it doesn't add any noise even on high gain, I suggest switching to high gain just immediately, and I believe that all your desktop headphones will be very thankful for that. Talking about its noise floor is like talking about invisible ghosts that are flying somewhere around me. So when Topping created NFCA modules, they just wanted the maximum amount of power, the highest signal-to-noise ratio, and of course the lowest possible noise, and at very reasonable prices. And up until this point, I believe that all NFC amplifiers, so everything, including the smallest one, the cheapest ones, were pretty much noiseless with some of the easiest loads like IEMs. And I believe that in this regard, EX5 is really no different. So you can go high gain, you can go maximum power, maximum volume with any IEM, and you will never hear any kind of noise, any kind of hum, not even a trace of that noise or hum. So it's like it's really turned off. So that was just amazing. And in this regard, I believe that it's really an IEM friendly amplifier. And if you are an IEM user, you really don't need much more than this. In my loudspeaker setup, going full power, of course, with 2 power amplifiers on those loudspeakers that you see behind me, again, I couldn't detect any kind of noise. And it's really no surprising because any other topping unit worked pretty much the same, and I couldn't detect any kind of gremlins, pops, crackles, absolutely nothing. And in this regard, I believe that it's an amazing combo when it comes to killing mains noise and any kind of noise really. As always, transient response is a cumulus of 4 very important factors. So first of all is the speed that it is capable of, secondly is the kick that follows, or as I'm saying it, the slam, thirdly is sustain of the notes, and lastly is decay of the notes. So in my opinion, EX5 is great at 2 things and just okay at other 2. When it comes to speed, when it comes to super fast decays, it sounds agile, it sounds super fast, so easily keeping up with the most demanding tracks with as electronica, so it doesn't have any problem with decaying and just going super fast. Yet when it comes to bass slam, to hard punches in the chest, when it comes to sustaining a longer bass line, I'm sorry, but EX5 didn't impress me in this department. With all that said, most converters in this price range and at this size just didn't impress me that much. You'll need certainly something more impressive than this to just have a decent or a good bass slam. So it wasn't that visceral, it wasn't just punching me in the chest with my loudspeakers, and yeah, that's it. However, if you add some mean sounding classy amplifier of all sorts, so be it integrated power or headphone amplifier, then you can certainly awake some of that lost bass slam. So when I've added a preamplifier to it and then Transient Response GAD that I'm calling the benchmark AHB2, then of course everything transformed into something else. So it was sounding much nicer. I was able to tap my feet. It was able to make me move. In terms of soundstage size, in terms of depth, in terms of scale, no matter if you are listening to its 4-pin XLR or to its regular headphone jack, because this is not really a true balanced headphone amplifier, then you'll be getting pretty much the same results. And by that I mean a clean, undistorted type of power that lacks any kind of noise, but without stretching wide that open that soundstage and without filling my room with a lot of sounds. If you're adding some distorted rock, if you're listening to some distorted metal, maybe to some cluttered electronica, then it will be choking down all that soundstage, it will be closing in the soundstage. So in my opinion, soundstage, depth and slam are the biggest cons, the biggest drawbacks of the EX5. And if you are not adding some additional electronics to counterbalance those issues, then it will be remaining just shy sounding and with most of your tunes mostly. So as a side note, all NFC amplifiers and THX AAA amplifiers sounded pretty much the same. So those were just okay in terms of stage size, but not really amazing, not big sounding all the time. Still, if your headphones are fully driven, then the smaller soundstage wouldn't be as dramatic, as claustrophobic and closed-in sounding, so it can still sound pretty decent in here. In terms of detail retrieval, in terms of transparency, I believe that this is the most impressive part about the EX5 and really the biggest reason why you are interested in a device like this one. So it's always clean sounding, honest sounding, very linear, so very extended. Just putting on a plate everything there is there to hear and letting you choose whatever you want to listen to with the power of your mind. And really making a clean, honest sounding all-in-one units at this size and at this price point is no easy trade to do, because I believe there are more pricier units that doesn't offer even half the cleanness of the EX5. Especially for me, detail retrieval is very, very important. That is the biggest reason I'm using high-end converters at my place. I would skip that garbage in, garbage out effect. And I believe that EX5 is very impressive in this department. Pretty much the most impressive part about the EX5. DA converters are like small computers that need to do their math precisely and really instantly. Not a lot of units are doing that very well and as close as possible to the source material, but I believe that the EX5 is up there with some of the nicest units. And if you really don't care that much for soundstage, which in my opinion is slightly exaggerated by the headphone community, then EX5 is an outstanding proposition as an entry-level converter that wouldn't leave a hole in your pocket. EX5 is a super linear combo, so of course I'll be talking a lot less about its frequency response. It delivers just very agile, fast bass lines, and it's certainly more impressive when it comes to bass quality rather than bass quantity. So there were moments when I wanted a little bit more bass energy, a bit more bass slam, but with the right headphone, with the right loudspeaker, I had all the bass energy and slam that I wanted. This is still a very linear amplifier, so of course all those bass notes will be coming when those are only called for. This is not really a bass heavy unit, and it reminds me a little bit about several topping units with its ride fast and die young personality. With EX5 you won't find a lot of smoothness, a lot of warmth, a lot of saturation in the mid-range, as all NFC amplifiers behaved pretty much the same. On the flip side, it offers a little bit more flesh on the bones compared to THX AAA designs. So there are still some believable voices, there are still some air traveling in there, guitars sounded electrifying, and of course all string-based instruments just whipped nicely, adding just a small pinch of naturalness and warmth into the mix. So EX5 is still a linear sounding amplifier and combo, and with the wrong headphone or loudspeaker, the final result might lack a little bit of weight and texture. Its treble seems to be clean, very defined, so very extended. There are of course very sharp edges, there are clear contours, but all that isn't adding a fake brightness filter all over my music. The most important part is that I don't find its treble rolled off, so on the contrary, there is plenty of information up top, even past top octave, and all that comes very easily. So I'm not sure what op-amps topping use in the output stage, but it seems that topping nicely balanced that treble output, so it could be very clean, very detailed, but without becoming bothersome in the long run, so without any kind of listening fatigue. If you like your trebles clean and textured, then you are definitely watching the right video. And overall, as I was saying, it has a complete frequency response, so there are no dips, no rises, no roll-offs, just an extended frequency response at both ends of the spectrum. As for my conclusions, I can nitpick about its less than perfect channel crosstalk, about a smaller soundstage size, about a shyer character down low in the bass, about a weaker power output with several headphones, and this is where all my complaints will see a full stop. So you're still getting a lot of value and a lot of features for your money. So there is still a full MQA decoder, Bluetooth capabilities, a decent preamplifier section, and above decent headphone amplifier section. And most importantly, you are getting an honest sounding DAC section that isn't sugarcoating your music. It really depends on what kind of listener you are, and you should put on a scale all its pros and cons and just decide for yourself if it suits your needs. Okay guys, my full in-depth review can be found on my website. In case you want to support this channel, please subscribe to it, and as usual, listen to my music. Be positive, and I'll see you next time. Cheers!